Chapter 24. For 2 full weeks, Margaret Limpert wrestled with the question, should she or should she not ask David to go with her to Midsummer Night's Scream? Though she knew that grandmothers were welcome, it annoyed her that the annual Scary Story Night at the library was billed as a parent and child event. For that matter, life itself was billed as a parent-child event. Grandparents were not exactly banned, but neither were they invited. They were allowed. Grandparents were substitutes, stand-ins, expected to step in and play a role to perfection when the star was ill. But what happened when the star was more than ill? When her son's wife had died, Margaret Limpert had grieved as long and deeply as anyone. She had loved Carolyn as her own flesh and blood, and when David and his father came to live in her house, David became her new son in her mind and heart. It didn't take him long to set her straight. From the minute he arrived, he had been grumpy and silent and even mean to her. She was not even allowed to call him Davy. She thought she understood. He had lost his mother. He resented another person taking her place. Margaret backed off, gave him space, as the saying went. But how much space can you give to someone you live with, someone you love? Was she supposed to let him go out in the cold without his gloves? Was she supposed to send him off to school without pointing out that he needed his jacket? She gave him what space she could, but matters only got worse. Their relationship came to be symbolized by a carrot. She left a fresh one, washed and peeled, next to his peanut butter and jelly sandwich for lunch each day. She was careful not to hound him about it. Only once did she mention that carrots were good for him. They supply vitamin A, and as her own mother had told her time and time again, they helped one to see in the dark. The daily carrot became her last stand, one small, pitiful, final attempt to bond with her grandson. He never took a bite. Frustrated, she worked up her nerve for a showdown. She said to him at lunch one day, "We used to have such good times together." He went on munching his peanut butter and jelly sandwich. The carrot, as usual, lay untouched on the table. David, munching as if she weren't there. She went away in tears. 2 days later, out of the blue, during lunch, an answer arrived. "You were Nana then," he said. She stiffened. She stood in front of him, looking down on the top of his head, the brown hair she once loved to touch. "Then, I still am Nana." No. Something delicate inside her fell from an edge and shattered. She could not keep the tremble from her voice. "What am I now?" He did not reply. He got up and left the kitchen. A half-eaten sandwich lay on his plate. Sticking up out of the bread like an orange dagger was the uneaten carrot. Unwilling to add to her son's burden, she kept these things to herself. She bit her lip and counted to 10 and reminded herself that he's only a little boy. Only a little boy. So it went for months, and she thought it pointless to even think about going to Midsummer Night's Scream. But then, that one night, she had heard him laughing in his room. "Something funny on TV," he had said, quite pleasantly. And now, more recently, all these little questions about the Clark Gable picture. Little signs that he was thawing, inching back into his old self. She took courage. She dared to hope it could change. She chose the same setting as before, the kitchen lunch. Again, he was having a peanut butter and jelly. Her nerves were shaking like a little girl's. She asked if he would like to go with her to Midsummer Night's Scream. And he said no.